Welcome to Tabula Rasa, bitches.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
My name is Allie.
And my name is Nick.
And welcome to episode 2 of Tabula Rasa, bitches. We're so glad you are here.
In Tabula Rasa, bitches, you'll listen as two decades-long friends jump back into the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and relive the show that brought them close together and taught them so many of the values they still cherish today. And side note for our friends, we will be discussing this episode, spoilers and all. If you haven't watched yet and you don't want to hear spoilers, hit the pause button, go do your watching, come back. We're going to be anxiously awaiting your return.
Yes. Each episode of Tabula Rasa, bitches, will dive into an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and discuss the lessons that can be learned from our favorite Sunnydale warriors and the supernatural creatures they use their talents and friendship to overcome. Today we'll be discussing Season 1, Episode 2, The Harvest.
And what an episode it is, Allie. Let's dive into our episode summary here.
Yeah, let's go for it.
This episode picks up right where the last one left off. So in the cemetery, Buffy beats back Luke and saves Xander and Willow from vampires. But Jesse, who was with Xander and Willow, is gone. And we learn that Jesse has been taken to the Master as an offering. Hearing that they encountered a Slayer, the Master decides to instead use Jesse as a bait to lure Buffy back. Buffy goes back to find Jesse and finds Angel, who again warns about the harvest. Against Buffy's instructions, Xander has followed, and they find out Jesse has been turned into a vampire. Buffy and Xander make their escape.
The gang learns that evening is the harvest, when Luke will funnel energy he gains from killing people to help the Master escape from his prison. They correctly guess that the vampires will hit up the bronze as the site for the harvest. Xander saves Cordelia from Jesse and kills him, and Buffy dispatches Luke. At school the next day, everyone seems to have forgotten or rationalized what went on the night before. The Scoobies are officially established and ready to take on whatever evil comes next.
Man, oh man, there's a lot there, Allie. Where should we start?
Well, I have an overarching idea about this episode when I was thinking about going into this one. What's really cool about this one, which it makes sense, it's the second episode of a series, but this is where really it all starts. Lots of firsts. We get Willow researching. We get the Scooby gang saddling up for the first time. We see Buffy skipping school and kind of getting in trouble and stuff. More quips and awesome. We see a bunch of her acrobatics and stuff. So just it's a very cool establishing episode, a good foothold into what's to come, I think.
For sure. We do notice a lot of stuff for the first time. One of the notes that I have right here at the beginning is I think that's astute of you, Allie, it really is the first time so many first things happen, which is really cool. I wrote down so we talked about how Buffy very reluctantly is taking on this Slayer stuff. She's still not jazzed about it. She wants to be done with it. But when she saw that Jesse had been taken, she was so concerned for her friend. She was really scared. And that was a powerful visual for me.
Oh, I did have a thought, kind of harking back to our first episode where we talked about how reluctant she is. She's, very much in denial, even though she packed a steak to go to school. Very in denial of her calling, her destiny, whatever you want to call it. But what I remembered as I was watching this episode is, if we're referring to the movie as canon, which I do think certain things are true, obviously her watcher died. Whether we just get that from the fact that she was able to move and he didn't move with her, or just, watching the original movie, her watcher died. That's huge. That's huge. So that can be I can understand that being a huge factor in her reluctance to continue. I watched this father figure die. You think I'm just gonna... and it's kind of like when a new parent comes in and oh, I'm just supposed to accept you as this new crucial role. Oh, you're just gonna step in as my new watcher? You think you can just do that? So I can see how she's not jazzed to have this new guy in her life when so much of this awful history has already happened in her, like, what, 1 year? She was a freshman, I think, when she was called,
Mhm.
and she's only a sophomore now, so she was only a Slayer for a year.
I have a note related to that will
Okay.
come up later. But yeah, a note related to this immense amount of death that these teenagers are experiencing very up close and personally very early on. But I
Yeah.
wonder if you wrote the same thing.
Interesting. Okay. So the first note that I have is Angel's Cross already saving Buffy.
Mm,
We end up seeing that cross come up quite a lot, and like we mentioned in the first episode, not quite sure how long it sticks around. It's at least the first 3 seasons while he's in her life. So yeah, warding off Luke, it's what keeps her from not dying, as the cliffhanger left us. And then as that fight kind of continues and she's able to get away, I have the note, so glad SMG's fighting got better. It's it's rough.
I almost wrote down the evolution of Buffy's grunts and hi-yahs, whatever
Oh yeah.
sound
Uh-huh.
throughout. Yeah, they do get a lot better, don't they?
They do. Which I guess, okay, we did just mention she's only been doing this for a year. So, maybe her form isn't the best. Maybe we can give that to her. I know part of it was Sarah Michelle Gellar's, you know, uh newness to fight choreography and stuff, but oof. I mean, even just like the way she holds her hands, you can just tell you're like, I don't
Yeah.
think you're gonna throw that punch. Like
If you do, that's gonna hurt. And I know
like
because
you're
I'm a
just
black belt. No, I'm not. I'm
right,
not. I'm
like
just
yeah,
joking.
but like we know to like not break your wrist and hold your thumb a certain way so that you're not like breaking your fingers and stuff. But a lot goes into form and technique, and I guess we can give that one to her. Like, well, maybe it's Buffy who's new and not Sarah Michelle Gellar.
And Allie, I know that you are getting more familiar with fight choreography. Why is that? Do the plug now. Do the plug.
Oh, okay. Well, for your consideration, Allie Press as Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or whoever owns that property, because it might be Sony, but Sony Pictures, I'm talking to you too. Maybe you still continue your flirting relationship with Marvel. Tom Holland, he's eventually going to need to move on from Zendaya, or maybe Spider-Man. Peter Parker's going to have to move away from MJ because they're so cute. I'm not interested in breaking them up. I'm not a homewrecker. But looking for more content for Disney Plus, you're bringing a lot of female characters to Disney Plus with She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and the new Hawkeye. Oh, what's one more? Come on. No one's going to stop demanding female leads.
Yeah, just take the plunge here. And we have the perfect female lead right here on this
Right
podcast,
here.
guys. Come
Right,
on.
like, you have so many decisions to make in your lives. Let me just make this one for you. So, yes, I am hoping to do more. There's a lot of fight choreography certifications you can get, weapons and stunt school and stuff. Oh my god, so many different things. I wanna do it all. Anyway, I am indeed a, superhero in training.
And just a superhero in my life.
Aw, you're so sweet. I'm gonna throw up.
Oh.
Buffy's resourcefulness. So she gets out of the mausoleum, and she has to fight the vamps off of Xander and Willow, and she breaks the tree branch. I'm like, that's dope. Because this is another thing that's like she has to be resourceful because right now she's leaving her stakes in the vamps. You'll see later
Mhm.
on she stakes and then removes so that she doesn't lose her stake. Because yeah, how much fucking time must that be sitting at home? How is Joyce not like, what are
Just
all these knives
whittling
doing here?
down. Yeah.
Right, like Buffy's just got this great little hobby of whittling. I don't know what I don't know.
I remember the first time, Allie, you made me aware of the difference, the evolution that happens in the seasons of the leaving the stakes in that then become dust going to what we'll see later, which is when she just stabs and doesn't.
Mhm.
Super fan for years you are. Um,
Yuppers.
I
And they were dusting, and you'll see once or twice in these first couple episodes that there's a vamp that doesn't dust immediately. That definitely changes. I feel I want to say I heard in a commentary thing that it was just a practicality thing
mhm.
of just like it was so hard always, and then like you're in the middle of a fight and what there's all these just bodies and tripping hazards and stuff like no. they dust and stuff. Oh, but I had a note about that of like, it actually does make sense for vampires to dust. Kind of. Like if you justify like magic and stuff. So if you, when you kill them, it like kills the demon and stuff, and that's what's like keeping them young forever. So all of that, I don't know, some of them live for like hundreds and hundreds of years. So all of that age is coming back and you're just dust.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it
my
like that before.
Well, because there's been other things that I've seen, like I think Stardust, when they've been keeping themselves young with their magic and stuff, and then whatever that magic is was like taken away. You see, it's not as immediate as the dustings of vampires in this, but you see very quickly she ages, and then it's just like
And what's left? You just become dust. Yeah,
just dust.
I feel that.
All we are is dust in the wind.
I love this quote that happens in the next scene from Giles, who's kind of giving his vampires, demons 101 to Xander and Willow. And he's talking about the start of the earth, where he shares that there used to be demons or whatever. I think I might be butchering it a little bit, but the quote that he says, he's referencing old Earth, and he says, contrary to popular mythology, it did not start as a paradise. And I feel like that was the creators giving a little dunk really early on religion.
Yes, I actually had that same quote in my notes, because there's a lot of things that I think domino when you find out that certain things are real. One of the big beefs I had with Twilight with stupid Bella was that, like, once you find out that vampires are real and you've heard myths of werewolves, wouldn't you immediately go A plus B equals C and say like, oh, well then that's obviously real too. So if holy water and crosses work to deter demons, then like, does that mean God is real? Like, should we be all attending Sunday mass and stuff?
Don't make me. Please don't make me.
No, no. Well, but that's the thing, is that like this, in a very quick way, if you're not studying it like we are, kind of already says like, well, not everything's right.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can see where it's like, okay, some things are true. Like, yes, demons exist, but like, it's not all true.
There's another note in this scene too that I feel like does that same kind of thing, where it's setting some boundaries on this world that we're just getting introduced to. When Buffy says, the quote is, as soon as the vampires cleared the graveyard, they could have just voom. And Xander goes, they can fly. They can drive. Yeah.
and I love that look on his face of like, oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Of course.
No, but I like that too, because as soon as, like you say, as soon as you bring in holy water and crosses, what else are you bringing it to? And it's just a way they can kind of ground everything.
Yeah, and a lot of that other vampire mythos will come up much, much later. So yeah, interesting contradiction of the Christian mythology. I want Xander's mushroom shirt. I just
I made a few fashion notes. I didn't detect his mushroom shirt. I'll have to watch again.
It's bright green. It's in that same scene we've been talking about. And what's interesting is when you say that like she's so sassy about not believing in vampires, because she just give a little sass of like what her first reaction was. And it's like, okay, now that I know more about rabies and actually what it does to a human when it gets really bad if it goes untreated, that actually is a very valid explanation. You can legit lose your mind and you're foaming at the mouth and your face is all scrunched up and you're just angry and deranged and you're like hallucinating and stuff. Sure. If it was dark and, you know, I was in like trauma and, you know, I was in shock and stuff, like I could buy that. I could buy rabies.
That's funny. I just had that same experience today, but it was after I got a particular email from work, and I don't think that it was rabies related. But that's good to know that it can look a lot like.
Oh, it's bad. There was an episode of Criminal Minds where someone's like giving people rabies. It's bad.
Very rude.
It's a horrible disease, and it's actually still to this date one of the oldest diseases and one of the deadliest. Because if you are not treated in the first like 24 hours or 36 hours or something like that after exposure, the only conclusion is death. Outside of that window, they can make you comfortable. That's it.
I just Googled rabies and I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like I shouldn't Google image rabies. I'm gonna click away.
I mean, if you're up to your shot, up to date on your shots, and your dogs are up to date on your shots, and then you're fine. If you don't like go crash a dog fighting ring or something like that, you should be fine.
Well, not today. We'll see what tomorrow brings.
Don't take any in any wild animals, and you'll be fine. Oh, speaking of some sass, I love Giles is about to launch into each generation of Slayers born, she alone, and Buffy goes, "Oh, he loves them." He's like, "All right, the Slayer hunts vampires. Buffy's a Slayer. Don't tell anyone."
Oh yeah, yeah, that's so good. Yeah, the Buffy sass is good. Her quips are just. I want to be clever like she is.
Right.
I had a question. This just comes apart. It's not a question. This just comes apart where I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit. But when Xander says, "Oh, there's an electrical tunnel running underneath the city,"
I had that same thought of like, who would know that?
Yeah, you have a remarkable grasp on the infrastructure in your town, Xander.
I mean, maybe if we lived in that small of a town, there's things you just know. Like maybe there's people who go hang out in the tunnels. I don't know.
Maybe.
Again, that is one of the justifications I can give of like, there's a lot I don't know about small town life. So I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows? I'm not mad about it.
But I definitely had that moment of like, why does Xander know that there are electrical tunnels?
Right.
Why in the world would he know that?
This next scene, I feel like I need to pour one out for the incredible set that is the Master's Lair. So creepy. I think just so well done. And it is, the Master is scary. He's scary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had that as a note of like, just how much blood does one have to suck to have permanently stained their mouth? That is so much.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking blood.
That's a lot of blood. Or his lips are very chapped.
I feel like it's supposed to be the blood.
You think it's the blood? I think you're probably right.
I think it's supposed to be the blood. Yeah. I think that's the conclusion we are meant to draw.
I'm like, do you want some Vaseline or something? Okay.
Some Carmex?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there not a pocket in that tunic you have?
I'll even give you. I'll splurge for Burt's Bees for you there, buddy. So another time where I feel like I suspended my disbelief, which I'm fine because it's for Willow and I would die for Willow. But when she says, and I think this was a very 90s trope, 90s thing to do, when Willow goes, "Oh yeah, I accidentally decrypted the city council." So what does that mean? I think now we know enough about tech and stuff to be like, that you just lumped some words there. That doesn't actually... I don't know. I'm not mad about it. Yeah. I'm not mad about it. I just, again, chuckled to myself.
It's also one of those things that's like, if you dive too far into like, well, what was her goal that led to her decrypting the city council security system? Like, what did she want to see in the city council? Like, is she some social justice warrior and she wanted to like see what they were voting on? Like, that's not a side of Willow we see. So what was your goal? How did you end up stumbling there?
Yeah,
or
Willow,
did you
there's some more to unpack there.
Right, because she's not a bad girl. So certainly at this phase of her life, she wouldn't have been like, let me just see if I can hack this. Or like the same way that like some klepto would be like, let me just see if I can steal this for fun. Like, I don't know why. That's why we don't dissect things.
Yeah, good point.
That Xander quote.
Yeah, give the context for this quote, Allie. As a man, I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah. So Buffy says that he can't come along with her because he wants to. And he's like, that's fine. I'm inadequate. That's fine. I'm less than a man. And it's like, well, you don't have super strength. So I don't know. Suck it up.
Yeah, Xander, this is about you right now. Take your toxic masculinity out of here, dude. I don't have time for it.
I know. He lets it. He does pretty much let it go. But I also like, if you think about the things that you were sensitive about as a high schooler, if he's still whining about that into his 30s, different issue. But I can see at 16, when this girl who's like a foot shorter than you,
to be clear, I am still a little bitch. about it, get my feelings all
Just
up in
about
tizzy
everything.
about stupid things. Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course.
Maybe
Of
that's why
course.
I picked up on it so quickly, is because
Yeah.
I saw
Well,
Nick, you're a little bitch. He's being a little bitch. Tell him to stop
and
being a
it's
little bitch.
and it's easier to notice that stuff in others. I think we are particularly attuned to things like toxic masculinity and these kinds of things. Like, I definitely notice a lot more. I'm gonna have to suspend a lot of disbelief uh with everything with Angel, because just like his like crypticness and
Ugh.
lack of communication, and I'm just like, why don't you just like come out and say it? But at least she recognized it. She's like, you show up here with your cryptic wise man act. Can I at least know your name? So I love that she's not letting him off the hook.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's
definitely.
important.
Yeah, I do like that. Yes, Buffy, call him out because he is being
Yeah.
cryptic and weird. Why?
Well, and I think we learn more about this character, that he's kind of been in love with Buffy for a long time. And so I do think, because I have this note of his contradiction of you when he's like, you don't want to go down there, but then he also is warning her about the harvest, presumably so that she can stop it. It's not like he's telling her to leave town and escape the harvest. So that's kind of confusing. So I'm like, is he testing her? But it could also just be his feelings of, yeah, I think you're the slayer. You should stop the harvest. It's bad. It would be a bad thing if the harvest should happen. But also like, wait, oh no, don't, that's danger. I don't want you to get hurt. Don't go there.
Probably a little
So
complicated.
yeah, because humans are complicated. Double think happens all the time. Yeah, I want you to be like your big bad self, but also like, let me protect you.
I feel that. That makes sense to me.
Angel is so hot. Yeah, he really
This note that I
is.
wrote for myself is great. I want to read
Yeah.
it to our
Yeah,
amazing
please
viewers.
read it.
I wrote, Angel is so hot and kind of a dick and so hot. And then I wrote, I feel like I don't understand why it's not being at all helpful, but we just talked about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
dude is so sexy. Oh my God.
Yeah, and that definitely is like a lot of, I guess, goes back to his infatuation with Buffy. Maybe it's a little Edward Cullen-ish of, I have to be standoffish, otherwise I will be so in love with her and I'll never leave her side. But like also, we have no future, so I shouldn't get involved, but I don't want to see her get hurt, and it's just this ring of complicatedness.
I'm so excited to fully process their confusing relationship with you,
Oh,
Allie. That is
so
sweet
breaks
at
my
the
heart.
core of it, but is
It
also
is.
deeply problematic, especially when we look back now.
Like age difference and stuff. But you know
Uh,
what? It's not unique to Buffy. That is a vampire thing, trope thing.
mhm.
And you just have to set that aside if you're going to enjoy any kind of vampire romance.
Well, even if he were a human, it would still be gross because she's a sophomore in high school
Yeah, but okay.
and he's like 26.
Yeah, she
Is
talks about him as if he's a community college student.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I find myself
but
needing to if I adjust their ages across the board in my head, then it's fine.
yes, but I also know myself. I was crushing on older guys. I wouldn't have put up a fight if some hot community college guy was showing me attention. And again, that's not on the younger person,
Yep.
but still, like, quote unquote, like, not right. It's definitely one of those things of like, okay, well, come see me back in 5 years, and then that's okay.
Yeah.
Also, in high school, age gaps, like 1 year is so long for a
Yeah,
high
it is.
schooler.
Yeah.
That freshman year to senior year seems like an insurmountable gap. And then you're all graduated from college and stuff, and 4 years seems like nothing. You're practically the same age. But anyway, moving on, getting back on topic, steering back towards topic. But still on Angel, I have a quote written down, awkward, that wasn't supposed to be a stumper. She's like, I have a friend down there, maybe a friend. Do you know what it's like to have a friend? And he just kind of stares at her.
Savage.
That wasn't supposed to be a stumper. Oh.
So I remember I have a recent, this is another one of those lines that I've bastardized and adopted for my own use. I remember during the presidential debates, are we allowed to get political? We can get political,
Sure.
right? Yeah, it's our
Sure.
during the
It's our podcast.
presidential
We can
debates
say whatever we want.
when I think the question to Trump was like, will you condemn white supremacy or something? And he just straight up didn't. Multiple times he didn't. I remember I was talking to my dad afterwards, and my dad anytime my dad and I are on the same page politically, something has gone way off the rails. Either the other side is so nuts that it's driven up, I don't know, whatever. But I remember saying to my dad, Dad, that question isn't supposed to be a stumper.
Right, like that's supposed to be a gimme.
Yeah.
Of like, even if you're lying, lie better.
Right.
Lie for longer. Like,
Yeah, that was yeah. By any way you think about it, that question is supposed to be a pretty easy one. It's not supposed to be a stumper.
Should have been a softball. No, and it's funny you talking about like not getting political when I'm wearing the future is female.
I just saw that. I'm
crew
obsessed.
neck, and under it, you can't see it because it's fucking cold in my house. I'm wearing the shirt you got me that says "Slut for Justice."
We are all sluts for justice here at Tabula Rasa, bitches.
Did you see? I'm wearing my Buffy cross.
I did see your Buffy cross too. Looking,
yeah. So always. I'm looking. My outfit is what did the kids say? Snatched.
That was good.
That wasn't supposed to be as big a joke.
All right, we have our episode clip, our little teaser clip.
Yeah, there we go. So you wanted to talk about the Master. He's such a good bad guy.
He's just a brilliant bad guy. When he says he's mocking the one vampire who failed him in some way. I forget how he failed, but he says apologize to me, and he apologizes. He says, "There, that's not so bad, was it?" And then he stabs him in the eye. Oh, so good.
Wait, you've got something in your eye. Yeah, I love that, and that's kind of a I think I don't want to say trope, archetype in literature and stuff. The sort of genteel villain, and I love that. I always that's like they're sinister, but they're like charming, so it throws you off balance. But their charm makes them even more evil and scary.
Yeah,
and I love that.
The air of properness makes them even more dangerous.
Exactly.
While I was Googling stuff for this episode, I found a note that apparently he who must not be named because he's a giant dickbag, creator, writer, whatever, Joss Whedon, I'll only say his name once this episode, he felt bad for all of the lines the Master had where he had S's in it because the prosthetics of the face or whatever made it really hard. I just thought it was a neat little tidbit.
I love those tidbits. Those are always so interesting to me.
So my next note is it's the next scene, and this is what we started to talk about earlier. They just found out their friend is for sure dead. Not only dead, but came back as a vampire, which is the worst thing, whatever. And they're not, maybe they are traumatized, but they just have to keep moving. But I'm just thinking to myself, what happens to me in an average day if I run out of coffee creamer? And then compare that to if my friend just died.
Okay, but I see it as they're in shock. So I don't think they know how to process that he's like gone, because physically he's still there. He still has his face. He still has his memories. And that comes back later when they're saddling up to head into the Bronze, when he's like, and Jesse's in there, and Giles has to go, that is not Jesse. Your friend is dead. When you go in there, that is not your friend. That is the monster that killed him, wearing his face or something like that. Giles says it better than I do when I'm paraphrasing. But I do think that's understandable. And I do think there is a certain amount of where you have to have some levity, or like there's certain playwrights that have this. The characters feel strongly, but they don't feel deeply. Like if you think of it like wide versus vertical or something like that. Because think about it, like us knowing, and again, because of our sensibilities in terms of political and social and stuff like that, we know about trauma. We know what trauma does to people. We know the horrors of PTSD and those kinds of things. Is that the show you want to watch, where they're all acting like realistically?
No, that sounds not entertaining at all.
Not in the first season.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to see them actually traumatized. That would That would be kind of awful. I mean,
Yeah, that'd
later
be
we see
sad.
that once we've sat with these characters for a while, and then we get into deeper storylines and that kind of thing. But and that kind of plays into that whole you can't unknow things. So why she could never actually stop being the Slayer, because it's like, well, I'm already traumatized. I know these things. I can't just go la la la. This doesn't happen. You'd have to wipe her memory or some kind of thing.
They feel strongly, not deeply. I really like that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I had a professor tell me that about Oscar Wilde characters.
mm,
Like, they get upset about things, but it doesn't go that deep. Everything's surface level.
neato. Well, excited to explore more.
I like Giles's cardigan. Cute.
Oh yeah, Giles is not only wearing a great cardigan. I'm wearing a cardigan right now. Listener friends who can't. God, I love cardigans. Giles also has a very sensible pinky ring, which
Cardigans are
I
delightful.
appreciate.
So I see in your notes you're jumping towards her sneaking out to saddle up to go fight the harvest. But you're skipping over the amazing scene in the computer lab where we meet Harmony for the first time. She's not even introduced with her name, but Willow is researching earthquakes and shit. And Cordelia is working on a programming thing. And she starts talking about Buffy and like the stuff before. And Willow's like, she's not a psycho. And possibly my favorite line of this episode, excuse me, who gave you permission to exist? Cordelia Chase.
You were such a bitch. I love you.
I love her. I do. I love her. And then I do love Willow's little slight back when Cordelia's like, okay, and then we end run or where do we submit? And then Willow goes, deliver. And so she finds the DEL key and she deletes her whole program.
So good. And I love that Willow probably I don't know, but I can't imagine if they had been shit talking Willow in front of her. She did that. Willow sabotaged Cordelia and her stupid project because they were talking shit about Willow's friend.
I agree. Yeah, she doesn't stand up for herself, but like, you came at my friend, who, by the way, is trying to save the world. So
Right. Yeah. Take several seats, Miss Chase, but also keep it up with your iconic lines.
yes,
because
exactly.
they're great.
Like, leave, but like, don't leave. Just like stay forever. She, over the course, and maybe once we're through all 7 seasons, maybe we'll continue with a side angel thing, because just Cordelia Chase's journey is fucking amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
Shout out to Charisma Carpenter. You're a goddess. I love you. You're more beautiful every day.
You're more beautiful than Cinderella. You have a face like sunshine. You smell like pine needles.
Absolutely.
Maybe Charisma
Exactly.
Carpenter will join us for an episode. Let's manifest it.
I love you. And then she can bring her bestie Julie Benz, because apparently they're super close.
We have a whole plan now. That's great.
I have all the plans. Are you kidding me?
Great.
Oh, random thing. I just love when title sequence stuff pops up in the episode. And you're just like,
Yeah, we see one of them.
oh, we see a bunch of them. There's the hand shooting. There's them walking out of the library. There's the moon rising. There's a lot of good ones in this one.
There's the shutting the door on the big metal door when they're trying to escape from Jesse and them.
Yeah, the hand grabbing. I love that. A great quote when they encounter Jesse. I can hear the worms in the earth. Xander's, that's a plus.
Yeah. That's a plus. Xander, you're so awkward. I love you.
I don't know what you're supposed to say to that, but okay.
I really like this next scene between Buffy and her mom.
Oh yeah. Oh, poor Joyce. I have a big asterisk on that of like, poor Joyce. Because what would Buffy even say to her? Like, other than telling the truth.
Yeah, Joyce makes further into season 1 and then into season 2, I start having serious issues with some of the choices that Joyce makes. But this one, yeah, she's right. If my daughter's new principal just called me that she was skipping school and now she's trying,
right?
Absolutely not. You're going out,
right?
Or you're not going. No,
right?
Not
like
a chance.
What else would you say? And then she, in a very excellent parenting move, she says, if you want to stay up here and sulk, I won't hold it against you. Applause. Mom, well handled. And she's like, but if you want to come down and have some dinner. I'll make us some dinner. I love that. That's such a sweet she's just the best mom. But then it's also so hard on Buffy because what is she supposed to do? Not go save the world?
Right.
Like, oh, okay, I'm grounded. Guess I won't
And
go
that
kill
line from
vampires.
Buffy or from her mom, I think I do have it here. Buffy goes, "This is really, really important," and her mom says, "I know. If you don't go out, it'll be the end of the world." And the audience is like, "Yes,
Yes!
it will be." But
Dramatic
is
irony.
that not so? I mean, take the fact that it's actually will be the end of the world out of it. That feeling that my parent doesn't get it. This is really important. I have to go to this party or this whatever.
Mhm.
I can really relate to that feeling and my parents just not getting it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And there's everything it does feel like the end of the world, like, especially middle school and also in high school and stuff, everything feels just like a big deal.
Mhm.
Sometimes I miss school because everything felt like a thing, you know? Like, there was someone there to see your outfit and people to talk about your crushes with, and I don't know, there were school dances, there were these events that just felt like such a big fucking deal, and they were. To us at that time, they were big deals.
Mm.
And that kind of pulls into that metaphor. I mean, it's very real to Buffy in the literal context, but also that like metaphorical side of Buffy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well done, writers. Well done. As she's preparing for, she says, "Sorry, mom, going anyways." Peace out. She opens the trunk and there's the whatever girly stuff in the top, and then
Oh,
she takes out and
I loved that juxtaposition. Oh, what a great reveal. All of her like dolls and I don't know, lacy things and whatever pink stuff, like you said, girly stuff on the top tray.
how indicative of Buffy as the character. She's one way
Mhm.
on the outside, then you dig a little deeper, and it's
And
oh,
it's all steaks and communion wafers.
there are for sure communion
Oh
wafers
yeah.
though,
Yep.
which
I mean they're holy. They're blessed. If holy water works, there's no reason communion wafer shouldn't
oh,
work.
that just occurred to me. I thought that was
Yeah.
just in LOL. Let's throw religious shit
I
in
mean,
here as the
it never comes up. It's never used.
garlic, isn't it too? And I don't think garlic comes up as another deterrent to vampires.
No, I mean they list it
Mhm.
when Xander's like, "Okay, so what else? Stake through the heart, beheadings, what else? Garlic, which again, why garlic? I understand the religious stuff, but why garlic? That never comes up either. But they do talk about hallowed ground. Um, like that's a thing, hallowed ground
Mhm.
and like cemeteries and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So, but also like but they hang out in cemeteries, so are mausoleums not? Okay, well, that's a plot hole. Let's not pick at that scab. Let's not pick at that. Let's not pull that
Put
thread.
it in the basement. Put it in the basement.
Yeah, let's not pull that thread. Ooh, say that next note after the communion bread because I have an answer to that.
So, okay. So the next scene is they're in the bronze. Our superheroes are headed to the bronze, but Jesse is there already. And there's this in the first episode, we saw human Jesse try and dance with Cordelia, and she
Right.
immediately brushed him off. And this time, as a vampire, he tries again, but naturally, he doesn't have a soul. He's a lot more forward. He kind of just goes up and presses himself against her and starts dancing. And she's like, "No, no, I'm not." And then he says, "Shut up." And she says, "Okay, fine, one dance." And it sounds like you might have a good answer for it, but
I
it
do.
didn't sit right with me because I don't love I'm trying to see what message they're trying to send by him having success by being
Mhm.
mean to her.
So, first of all, you're exaggerating a little bit with him, like, pressing up against her. He is I mean, he's standing close, but he does grab her hand and pull her to the dance floor. It's not like he immediately shoves his crotch
Well,
in her
no,
crotch,
I didn't
like
think that,
I
but
know, but, like, it's words have meaning.
it is
Um,
presumptive. He is being
yes,
very presumptuous.
he's being assertive, and as far as the shut up, Cordelia, who always comes from a place of power, that is the kind of attitude she would like respect. Or maybe not respect, but would respond to. Because someone who comes at a girl like her with weaker energy, she's not going to respond. She's going to step all over you. And also, this goes to the, why is Angelus hotter than Angel and stuff? Because confidence is sexy. What did he lack? He was a shy, awkward nerd. So when he comes at her, like, of course you want to dance with me, or like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. That is something that, come on, every girl loves a bad boy. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, we have that thing. I'm not saying everybody, but people like a bad boy. Now it does kind of turn that corner when he is about to kill her, because he does have some, like, I wanted to write down the language, but it's stuff like, I don't know, she's trying to
He
get him
says
off
something
her.
like, "This one is mine," or and then there's another line. He's like, "You're making this harder than it," like something like that.
Yeah, and again, if we're, a vampire bite is very sexual. So then when he is literally on top of her and trying to force himself on her, that is very rapey. That turns the corner. But as far as him like approaching her and the dance and stuff, I think that is something that that Cordelia Chase would respond to.
Well, and like she did respond to it. She
Right.
danced with him, so I guess it worked out. But I
Right.
just don't love that. I don't know. Some teenage dude might be watching this and be like, "Oh, well, I just have to tell the girl who's telling me no, I don't want to dance with you to shut up," and then she'll.
But it's
Well,
also, it's not like he yelled at her. It was because tone affects things too. Like, I don't, there's a way to be, I don't want to say playful. Playful is not quite the right word. And I'm not saying you
Yeah,
should tell
you're
people to shut.
saying
I'm not
he wasn't. Yeah, you didn't feel like there were
like, he
lines
didn't come
crossed
over and
in
say
that
shut up
particular.
and like push her or whatever.
Yeah.
So backtracking a teeny bit, Cordelia's quote, "When I go shopping, I have to have the most expensive thing, not because it's expensive, but because it costs more." I actually love this line because I actually think it makes perfect sense.
It doesn't make
Yes,
any
it does,
sense,
because it's
and you're
not like
wrong.
expense as in monetary, as in like the number of dollars, but cost as in the effort that I had to put in more effort to get this versus I have more dollars than you do.
I don't think that that's what Cordelia meant.
I don't quite necessarily think she's thinking of it that deep either, but I don't know. I've always heard that line and go like, I don't know, kind of makes sense to me.
I love that. I love later on in that exchange where she's been the only one in this little aside that's been talking, and then one of the other girls she's with tries to get in.
Excuse me, Miss
Once a-
Motormouth. Can I get a word in?
Oh, Cordelia. Oh, you're so
Miss
good.
Motormouth. Yeah,
Miss
love that.
Motormouth.
Also, Cordelia Chase in that scene before she gets approached by Jesse when they're just dancing to like the upbeat song, she defined cool dancing for me.
She's a cool dancer. She's sexy too.
Yep. I mean, she was cast for a reason. Yeah.
Get it, Cordelia. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Cordelia screams like Sailor Moon. I don't remember if you watched Sailor Moon, but when she's grabbed by Luke, that's exactly what that sounds like.
That is funny. I haven't paid attention to that.
You didn't think I'd miss this, did you? When Buffy appears on the balcony, that always rings in my head because that, I don't know if you remember the DVD box sets, when you would select from the menu, you would select the episode, it would play a quote from that episode. And so for this episode, that was the quote. "You didn't think I'd miss this, did you?" And then the episode would start.
That's so funny. A callback to the title screen of sorts.
Yeah, exactly.
I love I think this is an iconic Buffy line. Right before she goes to kill Luke, she goes, "Here's something you forgot about too. Sunrise." Finish the quote, Allie.
It's in about 9 hours, moron.
Luke, you're so dumb.
I do have that moment of like when he, and I don't know, do vampires have those kinds of moments where you react before your actual physical stimulus is there? But he's like, ah, and then he like actually has that moment of, wait, I don't hurt.
Yeah. You're stupid. Do you feel there's that TikTok sound right now going around that's like, do you feel stupid? Do you feel a little absurd?
That is Luke.
As everybody's fleeing the bronze, Buffy has saved the day. Congrats, Buffy. And then we see Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Jury's still out. He's still making some decisions, probably feeling a lot of big feelings himself. But like, thanks for the help, dude. Really appreciate it. Could have used you here.
Well, did they need him?
But no, they were, they worked it out. I think Xander handled himself like he
Xander handled
didn't
himself
mean to
pretty
kill
well.
his friend, but he went
Right.
through a lot of stuff
And his stake was way too high. It would not have actually killed him. 'Cause later it does come up, like, aiming, but at least in this, they were not very particular. That stake would not have dusted him.
Yeah, that stake in the collarbone is not gonna do much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would have hit, like, his breastbone, would not have gone in. But see, and this is a different, maybe I'm gonna be the optimist for this show because the way I saw Angel with, like, the, "Damn, she did it." He came, but wasn't gonna step in if he wasn't needed. I saw that as, like,
Oh.
him letting her do her thing and, like, yeah, I'm not gonna let the harvest happen if it looks like she's like, if Luke.
Allie, I like that more. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I saw that as him holding back and letting her be a badass woman and being like, "I'm impressed." But
He was ready. Yeah,
yeah,
he could have if he needed, but
right,
not needed.
exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
I
he's
think
still
you're
keeping
right.
tabs and keeping an eye. He showed up.
Yep.
That wasn't him, like, later being like, "Oh, well, tomorrow still came, so I guess she won."
Yep. Yep.
That's how
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
I saw it.
he was ready. He was more active and ready to be helpful if need be. I like the way you think, Allie. I really do.
Well, I am still Team Angel, so I know there's some Team Spike fans, out there, but
Yeah, we'll debate that when we get there, Allie. The last this gets into our favorite quotes here a little
and you
bit.
can see what is my last
Oh, Allie
quote.
is holding her notes up to the camera right now, so I see we both have it at the same time. Allie, we'll say it at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The
The
earth
earth
is
is
doomed.
doomed. Oh, Giles.
I love that. Maybe I could still get kicked out of school. That whole last conversation is fantastic. Where they're like, "Oh yeah, you could blow something up." They really frown on that. The earth is doomed.
What are some other quote? Have we missed any of your other favorite quotes
Oh
so
yeah.
far, Allie?
So what I starred as potentially my favorite quote, because it's just, it's so epic in the way that, like, only the master could deliver it. Tonight I shall walk the earth, and the stars themselves will hide.
That is
And you're
such a
just
good
like,
line, isn't it?
ooh, ooh, okay.
Poetic and scary. Okay.
I see
Oh.
you. I see you, bad guy.
Did you have a degree in English? You
Look at
do, don't
you.
you? That was
You
nice.
speak fancy, like you're educated.
I wrote down one of Giles' lines that still resonates with me to this day as he is telling Willow how she can be helpful. He is talking about how he's fuzzy on some of the details about the harvest, and he says, "I'm a bit fuzzy, however, on the details. Maybe you can wrestle some information out of this dreaded machine." And that aversion to computers, I just get it. I
Hits you on
really
a personal
do.
level.
Yeah, it does.
That's funny because I pulled out the quote right after that, which is, "That was a bit British, wasn't it?"
Yes, it was, and we
Just
love you for it.
just a little, Giles, just a little.
I think those are all my quotes. I think we hit them as we went through, Allie.
Yeah, for the most part. She walks free when I should be drinking her heart's blood. And I just had a moment of, that's how I feel about my ex. Like, you're just out there walking around, like, not
The
paying for your crimes.
audacity.
The
The
audacity. The
audacity.
audacity. When I should be drinking your heart's blood. Um, Xander's, I don't like vampires. I'm gonna take a stand and say they're not good. I love that.
Well done. Good move, Xander. Take that stand. I have that's the Buffy Summers I want in my school. Sensible girl with her feet on the ground.
Oh, Principal. Yep.
She jumps right up, clears the fence.
Yeah, I am a sucker for some dramatic timing. I love that. Oh, Principal Flutie.
Oh, Principal Flutie. You'll learn more, viewers, listeners.
You'll learn. He is a good egg. He's trying so hard.
He is. He cares.
I have one from Luke. Actually, there is cause for alarm. Just won't do you any good. Sass.
And that timing too, it's right as he's talking, he gets like a spotlight on his face. So as he says, it will do you no cause, no whatever. you see his face for the first time, or that gets the people in the bronze see his face for the first time. That's
Mm-hmm.
another good timing.
Yep. That's all my quotes.
What do you think for the moral of the story? What's the moral of this episode? I have one, but if you don't agree, you can give your own.
I think there might be kind of a corny one in teamwork or friendship or that kind of
Hmm.
thing, because that's kind of her. I mean, yes, save the world, like that would be bad and all that. But really, Buffy's big motivation for jumping back in the saddle is these new friends or these new potential friends. These look like people who seem to care about me and heard that I say I'm a slayer and didn't run away and are sticking
Hmm.
around. They come back the next day to school after they all narrowly escaped vampires. They still all gather in the library the next day rather than avoiding her,
Hmm.
calling her crazy. I mean, clearly these aren't that kind of people, which is why they become friends, but you know, she doesn't know. That's not how other people would have reacted.
Yeah, it's powerful. And uh, she I think I think at one point they're talking about where are they going to go for the harvest? Oh, who knows or whatever. And it's Xander who says Jesse is going to the bronze. I guarantee you he's going. So
Yeah,
not only are there all of these great notes about how probably healing it is for Buffy to have a group of friends and all of this stuff, but they literally substantively help her,
right.
which is cool.
Well, and
They're just
it's
normies.
Willow Xander, we talked about, knows about the electrical tunnels. Willow, who finds the city blueprints, which we see go under the mausoleum, and that's how Buffy's able to be like, oh, the entrance is in the mausoleum. And then it's Giles who finds out about the harvest and does the research and finds out about the vessel so she knows who to attack.
Hmm.
So it really is a team effort. Go team.
Teamwork really does make the dream work.
Yeah.
The moral that I thought might apply, and I think there can probably be multiple lessons learned from this, but um, I wrote that life goes on. And what I mean by that is like how we talked about found out their friend just died this horrible death and came back as a vampire, like life goes on. And at the end of the episode, when we see everybody trying to rationalize what happened the night before, and they have that exchange about how Buffy and Giles are basically like, yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna rationalize what they can and forget what they can't,
Yeah.
and whatever, off to the next thing, which is a theme I think we'll see
Oh yeah. Well, and
continue.
there's that great Cordelia moment where she's like, and then like Buffy knew them, which was so weird. And her friend's like, wow, I wish I'd been there. And she's like, you should have been there.
Yeah, Cordelia has managed to make it fit whatever her preconceived, right?
Oh yeah. Well, because it's a story. Everybody loves a good story, and it's definitely going to be one of those like where were you moments. There's a lot, we find out that a lot of those happen in Sunnydale, which I think it comes to, you kind of you can get used to anything, even if it's trauma, because again, everything is
Mm-hmm.
subjective. So Sunnydale High ends up having a very high mortality rate, and that's just like, I don't know, did was did not a lot of people die at your high school? That's how my high school was.
Speaks to the resilience of the human condition.
You don't know what you don't know, or like you don't know what's, you kind of grow up assuming like, oh, well, this is what it's like for everybody, right?
Normal is kind of moving point for people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Normal is definitely
So
subjective or relative or whatever.
I like the way you think. Do you want to wrap this episode up, Allie?
Yeah, Miss Buttercup, let's wrap this mother up. Apparently, Joss Whedon wanted to include Eric Balfour, Jesse,
Oh,
in the opening credits to shock people when he died, but he couldn't because of funding. Interesting.
yeah. Sorry, I missed that one. Yeah, yeah. Isn't that nifty? He wanted to. So in the opening credits, he wanted Jesse's character featured as one of the, whatever, so that people would be like, "What? He already killed off a main character."
Changing your title sequence is very expensive. So if you ever are
I
watching,
didn't know that.
it is. Like just editing, everything's fucking expensive. Everything is time, everything is money. Things that look simple are not. So if you're ever watching a series and they do things like changing up their title sequence more than just like per season, that's how you know they're doing really well. Like the Psych series,
Oh.
a few seasons in, actually not even that late in, they start changing up the title sequence or the theme song So like there's one that has to do like an a cappella group. So they have Boys to Men do an a cappella version of the thing. And there's one that movies kind of play into it. So they do kind of like an old-timey noir kind of feel. And they change up their title sequence a lot. And you're like, okay, this was a massive, successful show, which I knew that it was, but it is huge for them to do things like that.
Nifty. You got the insider scoop here, folks.
Might be a
that's
little
really cool.
inside baseball for some people, but I like it.
I didn't know that. That's neat.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again for our next episode where we'll discuss Season 1, Episode 3. If you are just too excited to wait until our next episode to chat, send us an email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com, and you can also say hello to us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at tabularasabpod.
I love that we already have all those socials. And if you just want to follow me, because like you, Nick, then you can follow.
Fair. I feel the same way.
You can find Allie Press on all the social medias at DaughterPick on Twitter and Instagram. That's DAUGHTERPICK. And you can follow me on TikTok at Future Black Cat. And last but not least, if you would like to support me as an artist, throw a few bucks my way, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/AlliePress, ALLIEPRESS.
All social media handles are in the description. Y'all better give your bank accounts to Allie because she's perfect. And Allie, I hope you make some incredibly proud choices.
Thank you, Nicholas. You are a precious gift. And so are all of you listeners. Until next time.
Bye.
Tabula Rasa Bitches is hosted by Allie Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.